And now we're very happy to welcome the Reverend Mavis Stephenson.
I have to unmute myself. Good morning, New Thought Spiritual Center, and to everyone out there in Zoom land, and for those who will watch this on YouTube. I am just delighted to be with you. My talk is entitled The Intention to Thrive. As we stand at the brink of a new year, and from the varying circumstances in which we find ourselves now, we can lift our spiritual vision to look beyond where we are right now and see the infinite possibilities for good that can be ours. Nothing is withheld from us, but it is our choice to open our consciousness to encompass more, to embrace more, to be more. The divine intent, you see, is that we live the more abundant life. So stand with me this morning and boldly declare, I am alive and I thrive. Together, because you're saying it where you are, I am alive and I
thrive.
That's it. Let me share a biblical story of the patriarch Abraham that has relevance for us today. Abram was a wealthy man living in Haran, rich in livestock, silver and gold. And God said to him, Abraham, leave where you are right now and go to a place where I will show you, for I'm about to make you father of a great nation. In response to God's guidance, Abram obeys. He leaves Haran, his comfort zone, and he moves to the land of Canaan. His nephew Lot, also wealthy in flocks, herds, and tents, decides to go with him, and he pulls up stakes and he goes with Abram. But once in the new land, conflict arises between both their herdsmen, simply because the land was not able to support them both. Friends, when the still small voice of God speaks in your soul, don't assume that guidance is for everyone. Don't bring Lot with you when God didn't tell you to. To move to a higher consciousness, you have to leave the hangers-on behind, leave the old mental state, leave the limiting concepts, ideas, and beliefs behind. So faced with this dilemma, Abram has to use his conflict management skills to handle the situation. And we can learn from him. In a generosity of spirit, hear this, in a generosity of spirit, with kindness and with compassion, he says, Lot, rather than keep up this conflict, the whole land is before you. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left. And guess what? You have first choice. So what does Lot do? He takes advantage. He chooses the fertile plains of Jordan, and he leaves the rocky hills of Hebron for Abraham. And I say to you, this is what happens when we are not in accord with the divine intent for our lives. But God doesn't say to you, you had your chance and you blew it. He is a God of infinite opportunities. So with faith in him, and as you are open and receptive, another opportunity to lift you to a higher consciousness will come. And as time passed, God speaks to Abraham again, and he says, this time he says, Abraham, from the place where you are, Lift your eyes and look north, south, east, west. For all the land which you see, I give it to you and to your descendants forever. So arise, walk in the land through its length and its width, for I give it to you. I do not know what your name is, nor what the divine intent is for your life. But hear the Father speaking in your soul right now, from the place in consciousness where you are right now. Lift your spiritual vision to encompass more, for as far as you can see with your mind, infinite possibilities exist. So immerse yourself in the expansiveness of divine mind, and whatever your intention is, I give it to you. You can affirm, I am alive and I thrive. You may say to me, Mavis, I do not know what the divine intent is for my life. And I will say to you, not everyone hears the voice of God speaking so clearly in their soul like Abram. But we can all admit that there arises in us desires and longings for greater good, promptings of the Spirit, big dreams and purposeful intentions. They arise from the mind of God in which we live and move and have our being. These ideas embody all that they need to come into fruition, just as a little acorn holds the huge oak tree within it. Remember too the promise of Jesus. He says, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you have received them and you will have them. That's a promise. What does it mean to be alive and to thrive? Can you hold a larger vision of yourself this morning? Can you? Then right where you are right now, hold a larger vision of yourself. Then set that as your intention. In the intention experiment, Lynn McTaggart defines intention as a purposeful plan to perform an action which will lead to a desired outcome. It requires some sort of reasoning. It requires a commitment to do the intended deed. And you may have heard of Marilyn Schlitz from the Institute of Noetic Sciences. She sees intention as a projection of awareness with purpose and efficacy towards some object or outcome. And her researchers there believe that to influence physical matter in order to bring about your intention, thought has to be highly motivated and targeted. And I want you to hear what Daniel Siegel, Dr. Siegel, says about intention in his book, Aware. He says intention is simply a mental state that shapes the direction and quality of the patterns of energy and information. Your intention creates a mental vector, a funnel, if you will, through which energy flows to change the neural pathways in your brain to bring about specific and automatic ways in which you function to bring about specific results. What happens then is that the pattern of your intention that you have created and energized with your repetitive thoughts and feelings and emotions can become set in mind that it is playing subconsciously to bring forth results without your even activating it at the conscious level. And that is why I say to you this morning, be careful about the intention that you set. Dr. Siegel says the body's cells, physiological systems, and epigenetic regulations respond. And epigenetic regulators is just the scientific way of saying that your genes, your behaviors, and your environment, what you eat and how physically active you are, can cause changes that affect the way your genes work. The Centers for Disease Control says that the epigenetic centers or the epigenetic changes are reversible and do not change your DNA sequence, but they can change how your body reads the DNA sequence. So if your intention is to realize healing in your body, delineating clearly a plan and working on it with every aspect of your being, engaging everything at your disposal, like your thought, feeling, diet, and exercise, or being in a stress-free environment, will cause your genes to accept the changes, and the body will follow. New nerve patterns are activated. New synapses will fire as they transmit new messages between the cells. And Dr. Siegel's research has also proved that, and I want you to hear this, when an inner intention is created with thoughts of kindness and compassion to others, the brain becomes integrated and balanced in its functioning. Inflammation in the body decreases, stress decreases, improved heart function increases. The whole body is soothed with compassion. So recognize that intention shapes the inner life of our bodies. Friends, the divine intent for Abram was not a sliver of land. It was such an expansive idea that he had to do a 360-degree turn to encompass it. God said to him, walk in the land. And I say to you, let your imagination walk through the intention of your mind to flesh it out. Engage all your senses and work purposefully at bringing your intention to fruition. It matters not what your intention is: health, wealth, relationship, writing a book, spiritual growth, painting. What you need is faith in God and the ability to spend time in meditation, training the mind to be receptive to God's guidance, the ability to use your imagination to shape the thought patterns of your intention, that the divine energy will fill and cause the brain to create new nerve pathways, new neural pathways to bring your intention into form. And don't forget to think kindly and compassionately of others, just like Abraham thought of Lot. New Thought Spiritual Center, you are alive and you thrive. God bless you. Amen.